Hello everyone, welcome to the Union Pacific Railroad Evanston Subdivision, an N-scale inspired HO layout. My name is Daryl Kruse, owner and builder of the layout, and your host for episode 1 of the new year, 2022. This episode features a lot of new things for this week. The main thing is signals. I did get a chance to connect up some signals. Here you have an Atlas signal that is lit up, and also got a bunch of Details West signals hooked up, and I also did some painting of a ceiling. So this is an update for 2022, the first one of the year, the first episode of the year, and I hope you enjoy seeing the things that we got done in this last week. So here we have the staging yard, and the train's ready to come out, and they will be controlled by this set of signals here at the first control point at Morgan. We'll take a look at how these were all put in and some of the things that needed to take place in order to get the signals working. This is the control point at Morgan, which contains 2 crossovers. Here's Details West signals hooked up. Now on the video, sometimes the red looks a little bit yellow for some reason. So I not only got the control point at Morgan connected up, but I also got the signals connected up here at Devil's Slide. So you have 2 sets of control points connected up. This one's connected up or controlled by 4 Details West signals. And again, you have a double crossover. In addition to the signals, of course, I also got the turnouts at Devil's Slide powered with some Tortoise turnout machines, and have them controlled with a push button. So every time you push the button, it changes from closed to thrown and thrown to closed. Operates very smoothly. These Tortoise switch machines, or turnout motors, are now on their 3rd layout. Yeah, they are definitely robust and work very well. So there's 4 turnouts that are the crossovers, and then there's also another turnout which you just saw being thrown that is a turnout to the siding. There you can see all the push buttons along the fascia. They'll be labeled and so forth once I get the fascia painted and so on. And this is another one. This is outside the control point. At Devil's Slide, you'll have the control point, which will be the 2 crossovers, but then there will also be a siding here. And I was hoping to get this track into the sidings, but I had some trouble getting some cork road bed. Hopefully we'll be able to see that next week. So there's going to be a siding, and then there's going to be another track that branches off that will actually go down to the Wholesome Cement. So it's going to go all the way across here and then across the Weber River and into the Wholesome Cement. So there'll be a siding that will hold cars that will be waiting for pickup from trains coming through, and then the trains will also set off cars at the siding that will then be transported to the actual Wholesome Cement. In addition to the signals and the turnout motors for Devil's Slide, I also painted the ceiling here. This is the next section I'm going to be working on. once I get Devil Slide completely done. And the reason why I painted this, usually I do the walls first and then paint the ceiling and the walls at the same time. But part of the process of using my power sprayer is using the garden hose to clean it out afterwards. And yesterday, I should say Friday, we had a day with 40 degrees. So I decided to go ahead and do it because looking at the weather forecast, there's not going to be another day above freezing until February sometime. So I wanted to get that done. This is the last section of ceiling that I have yet to do. I probably won't get to that till February sometime. This is where Evanston Yard is going to be eventually. So that's the only part I have left to do. There's all the tortoise switch motors. Put my paint sprayer away for now. I won't be using that for probably 6 weeks or so, depending on how things go. But I am going to do that little section there so I can continue to Echo Canyon, Castle Rock, and then the peninsula with the Wasatch Mountains and the crossover at Curvo and everything. So this is going to be how things kind of flow together. So here you have the track is going to continue here. That will be Echo Canyon. There'll be another control point, and then there's going to be Castle Rock, and then a peninsula that comes all the way down the middle of the room here, and that's going to contain Curvo, and then the peninsula is going to come back. On the other side of the peninsula will be Wasatch, and then this will then go into Evanston, and that'll be the end of the first level. So all that to look forward to. Trying to keep extending the main line. Here's a bunch of my N-scale stuff. I am having a 15% off sale. That's still continuing. If you're an N-scaler, I still have a few items left. Not too much though. Alright, so here's how things look, and this is where we are up to this point. Now about those signals, here's a Details West signal. This is how it comes out of the little case that you buy them in. They are powered with magnetic wire, which as you can see we're coiled up. And you can't really, the magnetic wire is so small you really can't connect it up to anything. And I'll show you how things are connected to the signal controller. So the very first thing that I have to do is uncoil the magnetic wire and then separate the 4 leads. So each wire has 4 leads. One is the common, and then the other 3 are for red, green, and yellow. So I need to first of all solder some wire onto the magnet wire. So the wire I'm using there is from Ethernet cable, so it's solid. It's not stranded. I'm not sure what gauge it is. Probably 18 gauge, I'm guessing. Maybe 20 gauge. But I have to wrap the magnet wire around the lead, the wire, very carefully. Apply a little bit of flux, and then just a touch of solder onto there, and it will hold it connected onto the wire. And then I cut the wires, and you have 2 wires coming out of the signals. Each wire controls each signal head, and then there's 4 leads for each wire. Now I'm using Digitrax SE8C signal controller, and as you can see, this is a picture of the controller, and there are what they call drivers, and there's driver 1 through driver 8, and the cable that you see that's connected to the board is connected to driver 1. Then as you go to the left from there, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have above that 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's what I'm going to be using, and you can buy the cables and so forth from Digitrax, but it's much cheaper just to get them from Amazon. They even tried Mauser and so forth to get some, but I found some through Amazon. That was the cheapest I could find. Got 50 of these little connectors for like $6, and then I got 25 feet of cable for like $6.50. So that was pretty cheap. So each cable then from coming out of each driver has 2 connectors on one end and then just 1 connector on the other. So each driver, there's 8 drivers, each driver will drive two different signals and that have 2 signal heads. So each of those cables coming out of there, that's the power that's connected. I'll have to tape that up, solder tape it up. But I have 4 cables coming out of the 4 of the drivers, so I'm using half of it so far. And then the cable comes along. This is a 25 feet of cable. It's going all along Taggart Mountains and Devil's Slide, around there, and through here, and then finally to where the signals are. And then each one mounts up to these things here. You can see I have the lead soldered to the wire and the wires screwed into the connectors. Those are TSMK connectors, also sold by Digitrax. So you have each driver will drive 2 of those things. By the way, here's the Atlas signals. The Atlas signals come with the wires already attached to the magnet wire. So you definitely can save some work. But I do like the Details West signals probably a little bit better. To me, they just look so much better. Look at the ladder is very fine. The post is very fine. There is a detail on the back of the signal heads, and they have a pretty cool mounting system where if you bump into it, you know it'll open up and won't break. So I really like that. Here you can see the detail on the back of the signal. So from a look standpoint, they definitely are very good. Now here's the directions from Digitrax. I found this pretty confusing. So each driver will drive 4 signal heads. And the way this works, if you look at this picture here, the commons are together on the very right. And then this one will power 2 signal heads. On this one, this is on the same cable but the different connector. Now the 2 commons are in the middle on the 6th one from the right. And then you have the 3 for red, green, and yellow for each of the signal heads. I definitely recommend configuring the SE8C with JMRI. Very easy. The only thing I really needed to do is make sure that it was common anode, which both the Details West and Atlas signals are. And then here's the table for all the different connections and how they have to be thrown, and then you have to input that into your control station. I use Railroad and Company, but I would recommend JMRI. I bought this program in 2006 for like $100. I think it's like $700 now, so it's very expensive. I wouldn't recommend it, but it definitely works. I would recommend JMRI, and a lot of people use Panel Pro with JMRI to actually control the signals and do the logic. All right, so here we are. We're ready to roll a train out. I'm throwing the turnout so that it will cross over, and then when I set the turnouts for a track in the staging yard, it will automatically activate the appropriate signal. So you have the lower signal head flashing yellow, which means it's going to cross over from the right to the left, and flashing yellow means it's clear through the crossover, through the next section of track, and actually through the next light also. And here we have our couple of Athearn SD70 ACEs coming out, and we'll see if they are able to activate the signal. Now, flashing yellow is actually more permissive than just straight yellow. So the most permissive is green. There is no flashing green that I know of. So the most permissible is green, and then you have a step down from that is flashing yellow and then yellow. And then you could have flashing red, and then red is, of course, the least permissive. All right, so here we are crossing over according to the signals and heading from the staging yard to Morgan and on to Devil's Slide. You may notice that I did put some rugs down. We have some rugs that we used at our house in Georgia that we aren't using the upstairs on our house here. So I went ahead and just laid them out so we had at least something on the floor. And the train's going through Morgan right now. Now it looks like this may be a tank train, but actually it's a mixed manifest as the train crosses over a road in Morgan. That's going to be a overpass there. And then we continue on towards the Taggart Mountains, the Taggart Mountain and the Taggart Tunnels. Pretty long straightaway, although there is a little bit of a curve, a little bit of a jog over in the middle there, but definitely is a place where the trains are stretched out. On its way to Taggart Tunnels. Here it's crossing the Weber River for the first time. And now heading towards the Taggart Tunnels. And now it's coming out. We'll be coming out of the Taggart Tunnels and going across the Weber River again. If you look at the risers here that the train's going over, back behind the risers you have one of the signal cables heading towards the control point at Devil's Slide. Now this portion right here is where the actual Devil's Slide is going to be, and there's going to be a interstate going through there also. So in that corner there you have the actual physical landmark of Devil's Slide, but then the control point is also just down a ways and is also part of Devil's Slide, or is called Devil's Slide. So this control point here is Devil's Slide, and the wholesome cement is considered to be at Devil's Slide. So there you see we have the green, and it just knocked down the red. You can't really see the red. It's blocked by the box cars or the reefers there. All right, going through the turnouts and through the control point at Devil's Slide. So there are a lot of tank cars in this train, but if you look further down, there's other cars as well, other types of cars. These are all Athearn tankers, by the way. There you see a Toff-C car, also by Athearn. All right, slowing down because we are almost at the end of the line. We have a drywall screw there, making sure we don't go off the layout. Adding signals definitely makes it a lot cooler to run trains. Let's do another one. All right, this time this train is in track 4. So we'll start the engines, turn on the headlight, and ditch lights. All right, let's check out the signal indication. Now I put the turnout now to straight, so it's not crossing over. And now when I line up the turnouts for track 4, the signals turns to green, and it's the top signal, which means the train is going to be going through. So if you have a permissive indication on the top signal, that means the train is going to be going straight. If you get a permissive signal on the bottom signal, that means you can go through the control point, but the train will be crossing over from one track to the other. This train is 3 Athearns pulling some scale trains auto racks. I think there are a couple of intermountain auto racks in there as well. So the Athearns are a couple of ES44s with an SD70. All right, so here as it comes into the control point, then the green knocks down the red. When we do operations, dispatcher will be in control of the signals and will be able to set routes for different trains according to how he sets the signals. There, of course, will also be radio communication between the road engineers and the dispatcher, but most of the communication is done through signaling. I think the ones going through right now are the intermount ones. The intermountains have see-through panels. The scale trains do not. All right, here the train's coming through Morgan again. Now this train is coming on a different track. The SD70, as you can see, still has the red sill. At some point in time, I'm going to use some decals to change that over to a yellow sill to fit with the present day Union Pacific. Notice here also it changes over to some concrete ties. The Union Pacific at the Taggart Tunnels experimented with using concrete ties in this section. Someone in their comments informed me that I guess the experiment was a failure, and they have since removed all the concrete ties and gone back to wood. I haven't really quite verified if that's true or not. I think it probably is. I don't know why he would make it up. But I'm going to keep it concrete just for a little bit of interest. It was concrete when I visited there back in June. There's also going to be a lot of concrete on the second level. The first level is the Ogden, Riverdale, or Riverside yard up through Evanston, and then the upper level is from Evanston to Green River. So the upper level is going to be much flatter and more Wyoming looking, and there will be different stretches there that's going to have some concrete ties. Now here we are coming past the train that we pulled out first, and we're coming up to the Devil's Slide control point. Now looks like we have a green signal again. When we run trains on the Evanston Sub from Morgan all the way to Evanston, there probably won't be too much stopping of trains running eastbound, mainly because it's all uphill. So the ones going uphill will have kind of like priority. We don't want to stop them so that they'll have to get going again on the incline. But it should be interesting. And now we pull through the control point at Devil's Slide. Hope you have enjoyed this video, and I really want to thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and like the video. That would be much appreciated. Also, like to see a lot of comments if you have them. Try to respond to all of them. There will be another update next week, if possible, and that will be probably construction on the new section at Echo Canyon. We'll be putting up some walls and looking towards building some more bench work. Thanks so much for watching. I hope everybody has a great day and a wonderful new year. Hopefully 2022 will be a blessed year for everyone, especially when it comes to running trains. Take care, everybody.